Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we're exploring why authentic assessment might be a powerful tool in education. Let's start by discussing its principles. Authentic assessment aims to evaluate students' skills in real-world context. What do you think are some core principles behind this approach, CG?
I believe one principle is that authentic assessments are designed to reflect real-life challenges and tasks. This makes learning more relevant for students.
Absolutely. Authentic assessment often involve tasks that mirror real-world problems. They emphasize the application of knowledge rather than just recalling facts.
Agreed. Another principle might be the focus on higher-order thinking skills. Authentic assessments often require students to analyze, evaluate, and create rather than just remembering information.
Exactly. Authentic assessment push students to engage in critical thinking and problem solving. They require deeper understanding and skill application. Now, let's compare authentic assessment with traditional assessment. Traditional assessments typically involve tests and quizzes that measures knowledge through memorization. How do you think authentic assessment differs from these traditional methods?
Traditional assessments often focus on rote memorization and may not accurately reflect students' ability to apply knowledge in a practical situation. Authentic assessments, on the other hand, are more about practical application and can show how well students can use their skills in their real-life scenarios.
Yes, traditional assessments are usually standardized and may not capture a student's ability to perform in varied contexts. Authentic assessments, however, are more flexible and can provide a richer picture of a student's capabilities.
I also think that traditional assessments can sometimes be stressful for students as they often focus on time responses and specific right answers. Authentic assessments might reduce this stress by offering more opportunities for students to demonstrate their understanding in different ways.
Great point, Seiji. Authentic assessments can be less about memorizing and more about demonstrating understanding through practical application, which can be less stressful and more engaging for students. To wrap up, why do you think educators should consider incorporating authentic assessment into their teaching practices?
I think authentic assessments can make learning more meaningful and relevant. When students see how their learning applies to real-world problems, they might be more motivated and invested in their education. I agree. Additionally, authentic assessments can provide a more comprehensive view of students' skills and abilities, which can be beneficial for both students and educators in understanding and supporting their learning journey.
Wonderful insights, CJ. Authentic assessment offers a way to evaluate students in a more holistic and practical manner, which can enhance both teaching and learning. So that would be all. Thank you. Today, we're diving into how to develop effective authentic classroom assessments. We'll start by discussing a framework for creating these assessments. So, what key elements do you think should be part of the framework for authentic assessments, CJ?
I think a good framework should include real-world relevance. The assessment tasks need to mimic real-life scenarios that students might encounter outside the classroom.
Exactly. Real-world relevance is crucial. Authentic assessment should simulate tasks or problems that students would face in practical settings. What else might be important in this framework?
The framework should also include clear visual criteria. Even though the tasks are authentic, should need to understand how their work will be evaluated.
Absolutely. Clear rubrics and criteria help students understand expectations and make the assessment process transparent. Any other key components?
Integration of multiple skills is another important element. For me, authentic assessments should ideally require students to use a range of skills like problem solving, critical thinking, and communication rather than just focusing on one area.
Great points, CG. Authentic assessment often engage multiple competencies, providing a more comprehensive evaluation of students' abilities. Now, let's talk about the development process. How do you think educators should go about developing authentic assessment?
I think the process should start with identifying the learning objectives. What exactly do you want a student to able to do by the end of a unit or course?
Absolutely. Understanding the learning objectives helps in creating assessment that are aligned with what you want as students and what might be the next step.
For me, after defining objectives, the next step could be the designing tasks that reflect real-world application of those objectives. For instance, if the objective is to understand environmental science, an assessment would involve a project on local environmental issues.
Yes, designing relevant tasks that align with real-world applications is crucial. What about after the tasks are designed?
Once the tasks are designed, it is important to create rubrics that clearly outline the criteria for success. This helps ensure that assessments are fair and the students know exactly what is expected of them.
Exactly. Rubrics provide transparency and consistency in grading. Any final steps in the development process?
It might be useful to pilot the assessment with a small group of students before full implementation. This can help identify any issues and allow for adjustment based on the feedback.
Great idea, CJ. Piloting helps refine the assessment and ensures it works as intended. To summarize, developing authentic assessment involves understanding learning objectives, designing relevant tasks, and creating clear criteria that are possibly piloting the assessment.
Correct.
So before we finish, does anyone have any traditional thoughts or questions on developing authentic assessments?
How often should we update or revise
That's a great question. It's important to review and update assessments regularly to ensure that they stay relevant and effective. Regular feedback from students and changes in real-world context can guide these efforts.
What are the common challenges in developing authentic assessments and how can we overcome them?
Common challenges include ensuring tasks are truly relevant and managing the time required for creating and grading these assessments. Overcoming these challenges involves careful planning, using a framework to guide development, and collaborating with colleagues to share ideas and resources. Thank you everyone for participating in the discussion on developing authentic classroom assessments and also for sharing your insights invaluable in creating meaningful and effective learning experiences. That will be all. Goodbye.